Phil and Rye back on Listen Up after a a heartbreaking loss. I don't really know another way to describe this one. Heartbreaking, shattering loss in the last couple of seconds. UConn they gave it everything tonight. They left everything out on the floor, and like I said, just a shattering loss, but. Let's quickly get into the game recap. Definitely a lot to talk about, and then I'll let Phil speak his mind on what he has to say. But who else to start the scoring but Caitlyn Clark? Ashlyn Shade quickly answered with a jumper. Big threes from KK and Nika helped fuel an 8-0 run in 2 minutes for the Huskies. You could tell UConn was going to do everything possible to deny Caitlyn Clark the ball and make every shot a tightly contested one. Husky defense disrupting the Hawkeyes early. Couple bad turnovers from both teams in the first quarter. Iowa struggling from three, frustrating Clark. UConn with an early 19-14 lead. The ball movement on offense for UConn was nice to see, but I think even more impressive was the defense just shutting down everything that Iowa was trying to do in the first half. And obviously, heartbreaking loss tonight, but the defense was outstanding from everybody and just the effort from everybody the whole night. But, from the whole tournament was really great to see. But I don't think I've ever seen Caitlyn Clark so frustrated before. And the defense that allowed UConn to get out in transition, get double-digit points out in transition, and the Huskies couldn't have played a much better first half. And on the other side, I don't know if Iowa could have played a worst first half, especially on offense. It wasn't all negative for Iowa, however. Hawkeyes go on a 10-4 run in the last half of the second quarter, and Aaliyah, Nika, and KK all had two fouls. UConn up 32-26, but Iowa did start to build a little momentum. Clark was 0-6 from three in the first half. It's the first time in a tournament game that she didn't make a first half three-pointer. It would only take her 2 minutes to get her first three in the third quarter. Gabby Marshall also added a three for Iowa. Iowa trying to get the ball inside, trying to force UConn to get into foul trouble. It didn't take long for Page to get going either. Kind of struggled in the first half, but got some good looks inside. Becker is quickly up to 14 points. Iowa starting to find their groove and rhythm on offense, and the foul trouble just kept racking up a little bit for UConn. And we went into the fourth quarter tied at 51 apiece. I was standing up for almost the entire fourth quarter, especially in the end there. My heart just pounding out of my chest. But Aaliyah and Page missing open shots, and Iowa took advantage of that both times on their possessions. Ice and Aaliyah did make some huge contested mid-range shots, but of course, Caitlyn Clark answering back right away. Iowa only had a couple turnovers in the entire second half, and I think that really allowed them to get their offense going and really exploded on offense. And UConn really struggling to make open shots, and I think that's really what did it for them. That and the turnovers in the second half, specifically in the fourth quarter, is what kind of killed them. And the foul trouble as well, I think, was at the top of that list. And just when you thought the game was almost over, Nika Mule drained a wide open three-pointer with 39 seconds left to make it just a 1-point game. UConn had two crucial stops on defense, and they had a chance to win the game with 10 seconds left. And with 4 seconds left, an offensive foul is called on Aaliyah Edwards on a screen, and my heart just sank to the bottom of my stomach. I couldn't believe the call. There was definitely a couple of questionable calls throughout the game, and of course, you never want to blame the referees, and I never say that a game comes down to one call, but definitely frustrating. Gino shaking his head. You could start to see a little bit of emotion on UConn, and how could you not be for a great game like this to kind of end in a questionable foul call like that, especially on an offensive screen. Didn't seem like there was much there, but Iowa does hold on for the 2-point victory. But like I said, UConn really poured their heart and soul out for this whole entire tournament, and you really just have to give your hats off for the whole entire team. But it is a very, very emotional loss tonight.
Oh my. All right. Yeah. Where do I start? I don't know. I found myself saying that so many times after wins this season. Um, for so long, I don't know about you. I don't think you have. For so long, I've taken for granted. And I get it. Tonight was about Iowa and Connecticut, right? And I get that. It was about the Final Four, North Carolina State and South Carolina. For so long, I've taken for granted what this not only UConn Huskies family, but I have full confidence in a lot of other people watching us, Ryan, that are not UConn fans, women basketball fans in general. A lot of people I went to school with over 10 years ago. But to get down to the point I'm making is, man, I've taken it for granted a lot. And I know that we have a game recap to talk about. But again, all good things come to an end. Whether that's if you win a championship or you don't, still comes to an end. And tonight it did. I just want to really take the time to thank, whether people want to hear it or not, they can turn the video off. This is very well deserved on what I'm saying. If they don't like it, that's too bad. I don't see how you could not like it. I want to shout out to the Arnold family. I want to shout out to Austin for running the sticks all season. I want to shout out to you. You know, um, what sucks the most here is that, you and I won't be back together on Sunday. Um, I just, you said it right that uh, before I get into the actual game, yeah, thank all of our subs. Um, like you said, it's been a crazy ride when this tournament started, by the numbers increasing and the people coming through supporting us. So just thank you all. Thank everybody. And that goes not only for obviously just the Arnold family and KK, but the list goes on and on, right? I mean, we had the pleasure of meeting Leah Edwards' family. So many memories in just one trip to UConn, mind you. First time getting out of Maryland for you and I in years. And first time ever for us in UConn. So many memories, Ryan, it feels like, and we only had one visit up there. So there's that. But tonight, um, I'm not going to lean on what I would usually say, and that's, man, Ryan, what if we had AZ Fudd in there? What if we had this one and that one? No, I'm not this time, Ryan, because to get your thoughts on this, I would love to hear it. This team came together so well, grouped up together so well between, I don't know if it was team meetings, a big team meeting between the team and Gino, whatever it was. I strongly believe, now I'm not saying it would have hurt them to have the injured players in for this tournament. Of course it would have helped, but no, man. I mean, this was a great probable. It was probable. Obviously, it's not going to happen now, but you could see championship written all over this team. And I keep going back to it. Who would have thought we would have been sitting here saying that about this? I didn't think so when we kept seeing one go down after another all season long. And I have the score in front of me right now, 71-69. But, to say the least, so many times the Hawkeyes could have faded away in this game. So many times the Huskies could have faded away. But man, and they said it right, the announcers, whoever said it, I heard, man, this this these people got what they wanted. We talked about ticket prices being higher than the men's, or somebody said that. What, 2,000 some, Ryan? 2,000 some dollars to get in for the Final Four, women's Final Four. I mean, I think, aside from the fact that, yeah, unfortunately Connecticut lost, I think, man, what this game did, just like the LSU and the Iowa game, what this game did tonight for women's basketball, it just expanded it and proved to be even bigger than what you and I ever thought it would be. And a lot of these coaches out there, but I know, Huskies fans don't want to hear that now, and I understand that. But man, let's get to the off season fast, because I guess my point to you is we saw what could happen right now. And I get it with Edwards and Mule departing, but you have to ask yourself, especially with that big announcement you talked about coming tomorrow, what can happen? You really got to ask yourself that. What can happen with more depth and more talent on this roster? And it's not time to think about that now. I know Gino wouldn't want to ask that question, Ryan, but I feel like it's at least our jobs to ask that, because Ryan, as much as you don't want to hear it, and I'm sure a lot of other people, your job and my job is to turn the page as soon as we wake up tomorrow morning. Literally.
Yeah, well, I guess the good news for us is, like you said, we do have some some news. Hopefully, it's good news. I don't know how much more negative, bad news we could get after this one, but hopefully, we have some good news coming tomorrow night. But nonetheless, we do have a video. I guess technically, it will be the first off-season video now. But yeah, it was a pretty improbable run from UConn. Like you said, all the injuries yet again this season, everything the team has had to overcome. And the announcers said it, Ryan Ruocco and Rebecca Lobo on the ESPN broadcast tonight, about how UConn came together. Yeah, I forget the exact month. Maybe it was the end of January when Aubrey Griffin went down, and UConn Huskies just
Yeah.
kind of had a big team meeting and just had to group themselves together and just put into reality how many injured players the team had, and just kind of talk about coming together in what it's going to take to go on a run like this. And they definitely said the right things during that meeting, and somehow made it to the Final Four despite all of those other things that happened this season. But it definitely is sad to see Edwards and Mule and realize that it was their last game in a Husky uniform. But of course, we do wish them the best in the future. But this was definitely a really, really special team, and to only lose by two to an Iowa Hawkeye team, they stayed with them the whole entire game. It was just really good to see that the team come together the whole entire tournament, play their absolute hearts out, and battle every single second of this tournament. And unfortunately, it was a very sour ending, I would say, to this game. But to face Caitlyn Clark, and the best women's basketball player, Iowa's a great team, and hopefully it'll be a great championship game. But unfortunately, it won't be UConn playing on Sunday.
Yeah, basketball fans got what they want in general as far as a great game. But Ryan, I mean, I can tell you right now, not a lot of people expected what they saw tonight as far as Caitlyn Clark. I was going to tell you, I was like, go back to that game against Brenda Freese, where Caitlyn Clark came to town last year, the game I was telling you about last season. All you had to do was watch the tape. And head coach for Iowa said in the post game press conference that they face guarded Clark somewhere around that area. She commented, said they face guarded, the Terps had was face guarded Clark all game long, and Maryland beat her. Maryland beat Iowa that night. But Ryan, just to, I don't know, man. Again, I go back to the coaching staff for the Huskies, to have them prepared as much as they were for this game. And KK Arnold, I mean, I get it. I could go on and talk about, and congratulations again to Iowa on a job well done and advancing to the national title. But I just want to, I can't say KK Arnold's name enough. I mean, to be able to come out the very first play of the game to throw the ball away, nerves. I mean, I get that. I keep telling you, human. They're not robots, they're human. And but to throw the first, to turn the ball over first play of the game, and then to come back the way she did and provide that spark for the Huskies, like I get it. I mean, again, I could say a lot of other names on this Iowa team and UConn team, but KK Arnold really stood out to me tonight in this gut wrenching loss, heartbreaking loss. It's going to take some time to get over. But KK, if you're listening to this right now, I know Ryan appreciates you just as much as I do. Hold your head high, man, and every one of them on the UConn roster, because as we know, they're not going anywhere. You know, they'll be back, and not only literally, but they'll make another run. I have full confidence it will be Final Four again next season. With that said, though, Ryan, yeah, KK Arnold, the spark that she provided, especially in that first half, drawing the fouls and just being able to, I can still see her right now laying on the floor at that commercial break, pumped up, you know. And again, that's something a freshman. I just never really envisioned her to have that much of an impact, and I think that speaks volumes to what she's going to provide the next 3 years. In fact, if she does spend all 3 years at UConn. So yeah, and the way that they came out, credit UConn again, and again credit Iowa for adjusting in the second half. But UConn, the way that they guarded Caitlyn Clark, she was like what at 1.0 for 6 from downtown. It's just again, it sports, right? Sports, because you and I, and I'm sure a lot of other people, was so focused on Beckers versus Clark, and that's just the way it goes. Blame the coaches for that. You know, that's my myth. That's my myth. Blame the coaches for that. But that's their job, to shut down the big names. And that opens my perspective up again. Like I tell you every offseason, Phil, why don't you focus more on not so much the big name players, on whatever? It doesn't have to be UConn, but all summer long, Ryan, as we have these videos this summer going down the stretch leading up in the next season. Hey, why don't I focus on some incoming freshmen on these different rosters around the country, and not so much the big names all the time? I mean, the big names come through, don't get me wrong, but
Yeah.
don't the big names also get shut down sometimes when it matters most? And then that's my point. Someone else has to step up.
Yeah, and tonight it was Hannah Stuelke for Iowa, and if you can believe it, Caitlin Clark wasn't the leading scorer for Iowa tonight. So, like I said, it was gonna have to be the supporting cast for the Hawkeyes that not really won them the game, but definitely helped them a lot to win this game. And yeah, like I said, the defensive effort from everybody, but specifically Nika just running around and face guarding Caitlin Clark the whole entire night, and KK bringing the energy as well. Paige and KK kind of had to guard Caitlin for a little bit there. But yeah, KK had an amazing game, and Ashlyn and Ice Brady did as well, and just them being freshmen, you wouldn't know it. It's pretty amazing to watch them the whole season, but for their first tournament, it was pretty amazing what they were able to do as freshmen. So I can't
Yeah.
wait for hopefully what the next 3 years for all three of them are going to bring for the UConn Huskies roster. And yeah, I can't wait to see KK again next year and bring all the energy to the court and off the court as well. But yeah, definitely a really special season. But I think in the end the foul trouble really. I think it finally, hurt UConn a little bit tonight. Weren't really able to guard inside the paint, and I think that's where Stuelke really hurt UConn, especially in the second half there when Aaliyah Edwards, Ice Brady got into a little bit of foul trouble. Nika and KK as well were battling fouls there as well.
All right, like the video, even though it's a loss, like the video, show these UConn Huskies your support, comment, and tell us what you think about this loss that ends the season. Again, final score 71-69. And then subscribe to the channel, because we want you all to stay with us all off season long. It's going to be a fun off season. We have a lot in store. I know I said that last year, Ryan, but again, giveaways. I think we're more on track now. We're more on a scheduled pace. Credit Austin for that, who runs the sticks in the background. I think that this off season is going to be fun. Hopefully, a lot of guests coming through. I know I had 2 big ones scheduled, and hopefully we get them on pretty soon. A couple weeks, let this sour taste, right, get out of everybody's mouth. But Ryan, it's looking to be a great off season. Let's go over to some comments. Lindsay Matthews said, Phil, you made a great point. UConn is the best in the country. They got this. And I believe, if I'm not wrong, she was commenting about uh, my remark about UConn being the toughest defense in the country. And boy, did they prove that tonight. And we have to keep an eye, Ryan, on Camila Cardozo in that national championship game. She had an injury, I believe, in the Final Four game, but she did come back. She did return. So again, I believe they need her if they're going to take it all. It's going to be interesting to see, though. I still think that UConn was the toughest test for Caitlyn Clark in this tournament.
Yeah, like I said, it was a heck of a job by UConn all night long on defense, and it definitely was. It might have been the toughest test for Caitlin Clark's whole career on defense. Like I said, I've never seen Clark that frustrated almost the whole entire game. But yeah, it was definitely an interesting first game between NC State and South Carolina. Kind of went how I expected. NC State stayed with them a little bit, and then everybody else for South Carolina, but especially Cardoso started to dominate. Yeah, she did return there in the third, and then didn't really have to come back in the fourth quarter. And that's what's so dangerous about South Carolina is the depth that they have. So many players, so many different ways to beat you. So Cardoso didn't have to come back in the fourth quarter. They were able to rest a lot of their players. I think it'll definitely be still a very competitive championship game, but yeah, I'm not sure if Iowa. Hopefully they have enough energy left after this one, but I know even though they won, it was definitely an exhausting night for the Hawkeyes.
Marcia Clark said, Get your nachos ready again, folks. I have no idea what will happen. Obviously, it's going to come down to team basketball and not just Caitlin versus Paige. I wonder if UConn's tough schedule will help them in this one. Both teams match up fairly well, but I think Edwards might be able to be the difference maker. If Ice can contribute too, it will be very tough for Iowa. If you watch the games they lost, it was because the post play was weaker than usual. Still, if Iowa plays like they played against LSU, Iowa will win. Sometimes you just can't compete with a team that shoots the lights out. Wishing both teams the best should be a good one.
Yeah, and I think Aaliyah and Ice played pretty well tonight. Aaliyah definitely had a good game, and I think Ice, maybe she had a couple turnovers coming off the bench there, but I think for the most part, she played pretty good game, and throughout the tournament, I think she played pretty well overall, and I definitely expect her to rise up when Aaliyah exits, unfortunately after this season. But I think Ice will step up pretty big in the upcoming years, but. Yeah, Iowa didn't really shoot the lights out, but I think in the end, they just prevailed and were the better team tonight. Even though UConn, like I said, gave them everything that they had.
All right, Ryan. Any last words? I thank you. It's going to be a little bit different. It's not like we're going anywhere. We'll still be here, but it's going to definitely. I say this every year. It's going to be a little bit different, even if it was a national championship, right? This year, a national championship brought back to UConn, even though it's not going to be for the women's. It might be for the men. We wish the men all the best. But again, it's going to be a little bit different for you and I in the coming weeks. I'm going to miss it. I'm going to miss it. Watching the clock turn to midnight every time. Seems like 3 or 4 times a week now. It's going to be a little bit different. I told you I can maybe get to bed at 8 or 9 o'clock at night now, Ryan. So, but all jokes aside, man, I mean, we like that schedule though. We like to interact with you guys. But Ryan, it's going to feel a little bit different for the next couple of weeks. But I do appreciate you and any last words before we start to get used to that 9, 10 o'clock in the morning episode now with a fresh cup of coffee for months to come.
Yeah, definitely. Just thanks to everybody again for the support this season. Another incredible season. I think we had quite historic month of March in terms of the channel. So it was really great to see everybody come together, not only the UConn Huskies team, but us as a community. So, like we say all the time, can't thank everybody enough for liking, subscribing, commenting on every single video, and hopefully we can bring out a lot more videos during the off season. Like we said, it's going to start tomorrow with one, but hopefully we can bring out some new ideas, keep pumping out videos during the off season, and try to make it somewhat entertaining for you guys.
All right, Ryan. The past is behind. Learn from it. The future is ahead. Prepare for it. The present is here. Live it. To Paige, to Gino, to the whole coaching staff, to the team, thank you for the great memories from this 23-24 season, Ryan. And for the final time, I will tell you a good night. Thank you, Alston, for all you do. Ryan, I will see you in the off season right here on Listen Up.